All right, let's talk about some of the latest headlines here that are happening around the NFL. As you see, Pete is here and in full Pete Prisco form. All right, the headlines that we're looking at. But Russell Wilson considered day-to-day with a hamstring problem. Might be in the Broncos' best interest to sit him down for a game. Andy Dalton's on track to start Thursday night. Jameis Winston still dealing with the back injury, limited on practice on Tuesday. The Cardinals are dealing with some injuries in their backfield, so we'll find out what's happening there with James Conner, with Eno Benjamin, as well as Darrell Williams. Other headlines that we're looking at as well include Keenan Allen coming back, hopefully to play this week. Expected to practice on Wednesday with that hamstring problem. Ravens signing Deshaun Jackson. What year is this? And Pat Freiermuth is cleared to play, so we're keeping an eye on that situation. Obviously, if Freiermuth is able to return against the Dolphins, you should be starting him in that matchup on Sunday night. Let's talk about the Broncos. So, Pete, you've gotten a chance now to digest this team now for 6 weeks, and certainly coming off another disappointing performance again against the Chargers. How do they fix this? Does Russell Wilson have an opportunity to turn things around, and what does this mean for the passing game with Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy?
You know, they blamed everybody that they could possibly blame, whether it's Nate Hackett, the wide receivers, the offensive line, the running game. How about blaming Russell Wilson? He's just not the same guy. He's not. He's missing guys. He's not allowing plays to develop. There are many plays in the last two games where he's missing guys. He's not moving around like he should. Every other week he has a new injury. I just think that this is a situation where maybe he's not what they thought he was. Maybe he just hit the wall and he's not the same guy.
He's not the same guy right now for sure. I think there's no debating that. But like we had a stretch 3 years ago where Aaron Rodgers went through 2 or 3 years where he was just kind of average. He wasn't the same guy. And then he wins the MVP 2 years in a row. We had a stretch at the end of Tom Brady's time in New England where he was not the same guy anymore. And then he goes to Tampa Bay and he's the best quarterback in the world.
When you say Rodgers was average,
statistically,
what were those numbers as average? Because they aren't this bad. I can tell you that right now.
Well, I think they were.
No. They weren't this bad. This is an inept offense right now. You know,
right.
I mean, the Packers, and that's why they made the move to go get Jordan Love, was because they felt that maybe Rodgers was starting to tail off, and then he got rejuvenated. I don't think you could compare the two at this point, though, because where Rodgers was still tail end of. I don't want to say tail end of his prime because he's still in his prime, but in his prime. Wilson seems like he's at the end of his prime at this point.
Read those numbers, okay?
Yeah. Oh, age 32 season, so 2 years younger. He averaged 6.7 yards per attempt, had a passer rating of 92 over a full season.
What was his touchdowns and interceptions, though?
It was 31-8.
Okay.
Russell Wilson would be
that's the one.
but
That's over a full season.
But that's 31-8. Russell Wilson's not going to throw 31 this year. He's not going to sniff it.
I don't think he is, but like we had a
they're not
2 or 3 year stretch.
So let's just sum this up because we could be here all day with this one.
We shouldn't give up on Wilson.
You're still optimistic that he's going to rebound to some extent.
I think we should still have some hope. Yes.
To me, I look at it. The offensive line is fractured now. No Garrett Bowles, so the left tackle is going to be a disaster, and the line itself wasn't playing well. We thought he was going to have this robust receiving core. The tight end situation may change with Greg Dulcich now giving some life, but Tim Patrick's not there. Sutton's looking like he can't separate. Jeudy looks like he's lost. We're hearing reports that he's not focused and doing the right things at practice. And Russell just looks lost at this point. Like, we said this on Tuesday. Like, you could drop Russell Wilson. Again, you're going to hold out hope. I think most fantasy managers probably not so much. You see where Jerry Jeudy is and where and Courtland Sutton is. I think it's easy to say still start Courtland Sutton. You're still holding out hope, though, for Jeudy this week in this matchup against the Jets?
I think he's a boom-bust number 3 wide receiver because he's going to get 2 or 3 of those deep targets. And we've seen that he can turn those into one play that just completely makes your day. So there's a lot of wide receivers in that range. He's not a must-start by any range as a low-end number 3, but he still has the upside.
Maybe this is just a lesson on when they can't move anymore, the guys who can move, they become ordinary.
Maybe. I hope not for the Lamar Jacksons and Jalen Hurts of the world.
But eventually, Josh Allen, eventually you got to end up being able to make the plays from that pocket. You can move and throw.
He's not seeing things.
He's not seeing. He's not moving. He's not. It just looks bad.
We can spend 2 hours talking about this. The backfield, Nathaniel Hackett saying that they're still going to find ways to get Melvin Gordon the ball. He said he didn't do anything wrong. It felt like he did something wrong because he was benched. Where are we at with the backfield for the Broncos?
He didn't do anything wrong in that game. He didn't get an opportunity to. He barely played. He did some things wrong earlier in the year that made them want to give Latavius Murray a chance, and Murray was better than Gordon's been so far. Murray's 32 years old, though. I don't know how long he'll hold on to that job. I fully expect that this week it's going to look something like this. Latavius Murray's going to be the lead ball carrier. Mike Boone's going to play more on passing downs. Melvin Gordon might back them both up. I think Melvin Gordon's droppable. I would like to hold on to him if I can because I would not be surprised if there's a point at some point in the future where Melvin Gordon's the lead back again.
In fairness to Melvin Gordon, he had 3 carries in that game against one of the worst run defense in the league. and then never got to carry the ball again. You need to get in the rhythm. They gave Murray the carries. He ran. It's bad run defense. He's going to have success. So it wasn't fair to Melvin Gordon, but I think your point you made is accurate. It's just not about that game. It's about the whole body of work over the course of the season.
And the game before, first one without Javonte Williams, had over 100 total yards. Could be Murray this week, could go back to Gordon. I agree with you, Heath. If you don't have to drop him, don't drop him. But if you need to make a move, he's an easy guy at this point to say, okay, I don't necessarily have to hold Melvin Gordon. And for this week, probably just better off hands off this entire backfield. This Jets run defense has been very, very good over the last 3 weeks. Let's talk about the Saints situation. So at this point, we're expecting Andy Dalton to start. Nothing official yet. We might get word by the end of the day. So stay tuned to CBSSports.com and obviously CBS Sports HQ. Michael Thomas not expected to go. Jarvis Landry not expected to go. Chris Olave is expected to go. So Pete, your expectations for this offense, really, the Taysom Hill gimmick, Alvin Kamara, how's things going to go against a bad Cardinals defense?
Well, I mean, they'll be able to move the football. I think Andy Dalton's been okay. He hasn't been great. He's been okay. If Jameis Winston's back, I think he needs to be the starting quarterback. But when you look at their offense, they've had guys in and out the whole year, and there's been no, cohesion.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's been a problem for them. So you're right. It's a bad defense. I think they'll be able to move the football. And the problem is their defense hasn't played well. So you might see. And I know it's a Thursday night game, and usually those things don't get up and down the field. You would think that maybe they'll be going up and down the field, both of them, because there's a lot of pressure on Arizona offense as well.
Olave's a must-start guy, but the Cardinals have done a good job against number one receiver, so just keep that in mind. But again, he's just been so productive every time he's on the field. On the other side of the ball, the backfield for the Arizona Cardinals is very much in flux right now. Now, we're expecting Eno Benjamin to be the guy. He's been limited in practice. James Conner and Darrell Williams did not practice at all. Benjamin, what did he do last week's game? Did he do enough to impress you that you're still starting him in this matchup? As Pete said, this defense hasn't exactly been the same defense that we expected.
He was really disappointing in a fantastic matchup, but he got 18 touches, and we've got enough people on buys that I'm going right back to Eno Benjamin because of the role. As long as James Conner and Darrell Williams are out, you have to expect 15 to 20 touches. There are not enough running backs getting 15 to 20 touches on a weekly basis to sit him. It was discouraging. I'll start him again.
Yeah, I would start him again, too.
Hopefully he comes through. Again, the workload should be there, and just keep an eye on the injury report. Again, if he does not practice or get through the walkthrough on Wednesday and we find out that he's questionable, you have a deep league roster spot. Keontae Ingram could be somebody just to put on your bench, just in case. We know Thursday night sometimes the running games get loose, as Pete would say, because the defense is a little bit tired. So maybe Eno Benjamin could take advantage of it. If not, the backup there for Arizona can as well. Pete, what's your expectations for Keenan Allen coming back his first game matchup against the Seahawks? He's been out since week 1. They've been sort of piecing this together. Josh Palmer's had a couple of good games. Gerald Everett's had a couple of good games. Obviously, Mike Williams in and out. Does Justin Herbert need Keenan Allen back on the field, though, to sort of maximize where he can be?
It's weird. They have this gunslinger of a quarterback, and they throw 53 passes for 230 yards or whatever it was. They don't throw the ball down the field, so Keenan Allen fits perfectly with what they want to do. Right. I mean, it's just amazing. The offense is designed poorly. If I had Justin Herbert, I'd be taking shots down the field all the time. They don't have a lot of speed. That shows up. When you watch their tape, it shows up. They do not have burners on that offense. And so I understand why they're doing that, but at times you got to stretch the field. But he comes right back in and he catches the football.
Yeah, you got a little bit of worry with a player his age coming off of a hamstring injury, so I'll rank him lower than I normally would, but he'll be a low-end number 2 behind Chris Olave, but someone that you're probably starting.
I think the thing with and Mike Williams, you bring it into the conversation as well, is that I'm going to guess he probably could have played against the Broncos from the conversations that you heard. I'm saving myself for Seattle. I'm targeting Seattle. He probably got through a little bit of practice last week. So to your point about maybe not being or rushing back on the field, I think hopefully that's not the case. That he's going to be cautious. Mike Williams still must start no matter what.
I will start Williams over Keenan Allen, but I'm not quite as confident in him as I would have been if Allen was out.
It's really one of the most mystifying passing games I've ever seen. It boggles the mind that they have that kid with the cannon and they throw dink and dunk passes. And I know they don't have a ton of speed, so from that standpoint you see it, but let's take some shots down the field.
Our audience is not going to say this guy's a difference maker, but you will understand this because of how you guys understand the game. They miss Jalen Guyton. They miss a guy that can just
They do.
Scare defenses.
Yep.
Even if it's a play every 3 weeks,
Yep.
they scare defenses, and that type of guy is missing.
Should have signed Deshaun Jackson.
They should have signed Deshaun Jackson. Good transition there, Heath. You almost you sit in this chair. So Deshaun Jackson, at this point, again, as I made the joke, I don't know what year it is that he's still hanging on, 35 years old, joining this Baltimore passing game. What does this change for this team?
Well, there's another team that needed to get somebody down the field, and does he still have it? That's the question. We don't know. We have no idea. I mean, I think
I'm going to tell you the answer. No, he doesn't still have it.
Well, he can still run.
He can still run.
He can still run, and again, it gives you that. Guyton's not a great player, but he gives you the fear. And who on the Ravens scares you that way?
Well, Rashad Bateman should have. and he's dealing with the foot. That's my question.
Right.
Is this an indication that Bateman is not coming back anytime soon?
But
You have that fear.
Bateman's not a burner either, though. I mean, he's okay. Jackson gives them real legitimate speed.
And like even last year, like he can't stay healthy. He's not been able to stay healthy for 5 years. But even last year, he averaged 22 yards a catch,
Right.
averaged 13 yards a target.
Right,
Like,
he can burn it.
he can still run down the field and be wide open.
And that's a problem for their offense if you see the way teams are defending them. They're not scared of anybody.